Google is getting sued for $2.5 decillion. That's a number that 90% of people don't even know exists. Like, this is an unfathomable number that they are being sued for by Russia. To put it in perspective, here's a decillion compared to other numbers that you have heard about. Maybe thousand, million, billion, or even trillion. And you can see that trillion is not even halfway. It's not even close. It is estimated that the entire global GDP is about 200 trillion, which is about 0.0000001% of what Google's being sued for by Russia. It is crazy at what they're trying to achieve with this lawsuit. Like, you couldn't even sell the Earth for $2.5 decillion to aliens. Like, it's not even worth that much. If you took every dollar from every form of currency ever created throughout the history of our species, it wouldn't even come close to 1 decillion. This number is so insane that I don't think there is a single made-up villain who would even try this. So this lawsuit is about how YouTube banned 26 or something Russian media networks associated with, like, the Kremlin and all of that. And the fine arises from Google's failure to comply with previous court orders mandating the reinstatement of these Russian media accounts on YouTube. The court warned Google that non-compliance would lead to compounding fines with no ceiling on the amount. Starting at 100,000 rubles daily, the fine doubles every week until the channels are restored. But, like, this lawsuit is incredibly stupid. Like, the fines double every week? It's like a RuneScape scam. Like, what the heck? So basically, YouTube has banned a lot of Russian media accounts associated with the Kremlin and all of that, and Google has repeatedly cited sanctions compliance as the justification for suspending content from these channels, including high-profile networks such as Tsargrad TV and Riafan. Google argued that the media entities involved were under U.S. sanctions imposed in response to the Russian geopolitical action since 2014. And then in 2022, following the invasion of Ukraine, the subsidiary of Google that was operating in the region declared bankruptcy, and Moscow has seized more than $100 million from the entity. Well, according to Telegraph, Google said Russia handed the assets to sanctioned TV channels, including Tsargrad, whose owner, Mr. Malaviv, has been described as the Orthodox oligarch and state-owned RT. In the filings, Google said the bailiffs seized more than $100 million of Google Russia assets, even though the amount purportedly due under the judgment at the time was less than $12.5 million, or 1 billion rubles. Tsargrad received $1 billion from this seizure, which it said it would use to support Russia's war in Ukraine. The technology giant is also fighting efforts by Russian broadcasters to enforce the fines in foreign jurisdictions, including South Africa, Turkey, and Serbia. So to me, that sounds like they're saying there's a lot of words here, and we're not reading them. They're just going to ignore it. They're not entertaining the idea of a $2.5 decillion fine. They're just plugging their ears to it. Google has almost entirely ceased operations in Russia. Like, they've almost fully pulled out from what I can tell. So it seems like they're just going to pretend that, the Tooth Fairy is not real here and just not think about it. So yeah, there's been a ongoing battle between Russia and Google, and this is just the most recent development. So I don't think there's a single world where anyone actually looks at that number and takes it seriously. 2.5 decillion is comically large. There's not even that much sand on Earth. There's about 7.5 sextillion grains of sand, and that doesn't even come close. It doesn't even make a dent into 1 decillion. There is nothing on Earth that exists in that quantity except for maybe atoms. I can't imagine they're actually dumb enough to think that Google is somehow going to pay this 2.5 decillion anything. I think this is just like a desperate Hail Mary to get some sort of compensation from it. Like some kind of big fine from all of this. So they're just letting this number to be as outrageous as possible. And they are trying to enforce these fines in other regions, such as South Africa, where they are trying to kind of come at Google from multiple angles. And then Google has been, in response, filing lawsuits to keep everything like localized to Russia. So it is possible that it's been messy, and it definitely has been an interesting journey trying to get caught up on the Google lore. This lawsuit is almost as outrageous as the Spooky Men game on Steam's price in 2023, which was about $1 million for one game in development. Before seeing that this lawsuit is 2.5 decillion, I just thought that the word decillion was just a made up term for a bunch of money or a bunch of anything. But now that I see that it's real, this is crazy, to say the least. Well, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit, so yeah. But of course, I'm just a clueless caveman, so I have no idea if there's anything behind this. I'm not a lawyer, but from my uneducated perspective, it just sounds so stupid to be coming at Google for this amount of money over like 10 or 15 YouTube accounts being banned. I just think it's ridiculous. It's not like those YouTube accounts were going to generate anywhere near that level of money realistically. All of the YouTube accounts put together probably wouldn't have even generated anything close to 100 million. Even if they were operational for 100 years, I just don't understand where this number is even coming from. Like, I understand it's like the compounding fines where it doubles every week, but it's just made up, pulled out of thin air, arbitrary nonsense. Like, can any YouTuber do that? Like, oh, my YouTube account was just unjustly terminated. Google owes me $1,000 per day that it stays down, and it's going to double every week. Well, based off of why that's just a classic because I said so moment. Like, I just don't understand where they're getting this. Like, why would the fine be doubling every week? Like, who in the right mind made that rule? What referee came in and threw the flag on the play saying that it needed to be doubled every week? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Those accounts were never going to generate anywhere near that money, even in like 100 million years. Yes, I just made the number up. How can they possibly expect Google or any reasonable judge to look at that and be like, oh no, that sounds about right? And again, I'm pretty sure this number is just supposed to be intimidating and scary to settle for some kind of payment out of court. Perhaps. But to me, this just doesn't seem like a lawsuit with a ton of punch behind it. Like, it really just doesn't seem like they have the strongest case to be coming at them for this amount of money. Now, it's worth mentioning, just like the end of a Marvel movie, it will return. This ticking time bomb hasn't stopped. It is still going, and it's still actively doubling. So, this 2.5 decillion now might be the cheapest it will ever be, because in a month or maybe even a year from now, we might be looking at new numbers that are going to be needing to be invented to figure out how much Russia is trying to hit Google for. Anyway, though, I just had to talk about this a little bit because it was so crazy and I was just diving into it pretty deep this afternoon, but that's really about it. See ya.